President Trump, you will not get your wall.
A wall is an immorality. It's not who we are as a nation.
Have you considered using emergency powers to grant yourself authorities to build this wall without congressional approval? Yes, I have. And I can do it if I want.
And so he doesn't need the Congress to appropriate the funds for the wall. He can just do it.
So you don't need congressional approval to build the wall?
No, we can use them. Absolutely. We can call a national emergency because of the security of our country. Absolutely.
And here are some of the steel slats that the president's been talking about right here. As you can see, yes, you can see through these slats to the other side of the U.S.-Mexico border. But as we're walking along here, we're not seeing any kind of imminent danger. There are no migrants trying to rush toward this fence here in the McAllen, Texas area. As a matter of fact, there are some other businesses behind me along this highway. There's a gas station, Burger King, and so on. But no sign of the national emergency that the president has been talking about. As a matter of fact, it's pretty tranquil down here.
It's an election marred by violence. Since campaigning in Mexico began in September, there have been more than 500 attacks on politicians.
According to reports, the newly elected official was on his way to the town hall for a meeting. Locals are calling for an in-depth investigation, believing there may be others involved.
Video shows Mexican congressional candidate Fernando Puron posing for a selfie with a supporter when a man walks up from behind, raises a gun, and fires point blank at the back of his head.
The national anthem plays, the mayor in the dark suit, hand over heart. The shooting also caught on camera from behind. Halili runs to the right, then drops to the ground. Shot dead, a single bullet to the chest.
It's pretty tranquil down here.
The officials tell me the average number of arrests, illegal crossing arrest in this sector in McAllen, Texas, Rio Grande Valley is over 640 a day.
Well, you know, 1 in 5 people that we catch has some type of criminal history here in the United States. On top of that, we only catch 40% of what's coming across this in this area. So that's 20% of what we catch are known bad guys.
But as we're walking along here, we're not seeing any kind of imminent danger. There are no migrants trying to rush toward this fence.
There's a lot of people out there that misses him. And his dream was taken from him. We have to have a conversation about restrictive legislation.
When you tie our hands and don't allow us to work with our federal partners and communicate with our federal partners about people that commit crimes and who are in this country illegally, we're going to have incidents like this.
You know, I think Sanctuary Cities is about us being ourselves and who we are and respecting everybody. That's what we do here in San Francisco. It means safer communities. It means diverse communities. It means welcome communities.
No sign of the national emergency that the president has been talking about.
They're dead. I don't regret that. The only thing that I regret is the kill too. I wish I killed more of them.
That illegal immigrant, Luis Bracamontes, had been deported at least twice leading up to the 2014 shootings and could potentially get the death penalty.
I will break up soon and I will kill more.
It's pretty tranquil down here.
But the story in Drudge and Big Store, it's all over the place now. Guys swimming across and big bags of stuff, it's drugs, swimming across the river, right? Swimming right across. And they put the drugs, and actually the camera crew or the reporters were petrified because they thought they were going to be killed because they're showing this on camera. The guy's carrying bags of stuff. It was drugs.
A CBS News crew witnessed one of those attempts as a man in a raft attempted to smuggle 2 people into the U.S. Their crossing near Roma, Texas, was less than 100 yards from a port of entry where dozens of armed agents are stationed.
The man who was paddling actually walked across. That's how shallow it is there in the river. He was able to walk back onto the other side. He gave us the middle finger and faded off into the tree line. This highlights an ongoing issue that Border Patrol has been talking about. The Rio Grande River, people just swim, they walk across, they come across easily. But what was surprising for us to see is that this happened in broad daylight about 100 yards from that international bridge.
But your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
Well, that's true.
But
they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood.
Border Sector Chief Rodney Scott posted this video to social media showing what he calls repeated breaches to the aging border wall infrastructure in San Diego. And you can see people cutting holes in the wall and kicking right through. It is not known over what time period these videos were recorded. And he wrote, in order to secure the border, we depend on physical barriers, technology, roads, and Border Patrol agents to quickly resolve threats and keep America safe.
And here are some of the steel slats that the president's been talking about.
Last night here in San Diego, the caravan showed its propensity for violence once again when a large group of people congregated on the hill up behind me at about 2 in the morning. And then instead of trying to come north or surrender, they decided to assault Border Patrol agents with a hail of rocks. Our agents responded with the least amount of force they possibly could to protect themselves and the border, and did actually secure the border in this area. One agent was hit square in the face with a rock. Luckily, he had his helmet and shield on and was not seriously injured, but the violence associated with this caravan just continues.
But as we're walking along here, we're not seeing any kind of imminent danger. There are no migrants trying to rush toward this fence.
I used the word rape. And yesterday it came out where this journey coming up, women are raped at levels that nobody's ever seen before.
Sexual assault against women and girls is so common that many expect to be raped.
Almost all of the girls working the streets in the Mexican border town of Tapachula, where virtually all migrants pass, started their professional lives still dreaming of an ordinary life in the United States.
Shelter directors and human rights protectors estimate that 80% of migrant women crossing Mexico are raped along the way.
Robbery and assault are almost guaranteed. The rape and abduction of young girls and their subsequent imprisonment in brothels is so common the crimes aren't even investigated.
From October 2016 through September of 2017, more than 94,000 people were caught crossing the U.S.-Mexico border and claimed to be part of a family unit coming from Guatemala, El Salvador, or Honduras. Now, you'd think that illegally entering the United States would be an automatic ticket home, and quickly, but you'd be wrong. These people were not sent home. They were allowed to settle in the United States while their cases were resolved, which in practical terms means forever. Of those 94,000 illegal border crossers, only 1,500 have been sent back. In other words, 98% are still here.
As you can see, yes, you can see through these slats to the other side of the U.S.-Mexico border. But as we're walking along here, we're not seeing any kind of imminent danger. There are no migrants trying to rush toward this fence here in the McAllen, Texas area. As a matter of fact, there are some other businesses behind me along this highway. There's a gas station, Burger King, and so on. But no sign of the national emergency that the president has been talking about. As a matter of fact, it's pretty tranquil down here.
President Trump taking his pitch for border security directly to the American people today with his first televised Oval Office address tonight.
Do you think it should be, I don't know, a delay of some sort?
Why in the world would the networks run Donald Trump's address tonight when we know that Donald Trump is going to be using it to spread these lies?
Because people believe it. The president will say what he has to say. People will believe it, whether the facts are true or not.
Why should they run Donald Trump's address tonight when they know he's going to be spreading lies and falsehoods?
The answer to your question, Joe, is they shouldn't. One of the most time-honored and powerful ways a president has to communicate with the American people is through a primetime Oval Office address. The majesty of the setting, the request for valuable television time.
The president says he wants airtime. He just gets it, right? Well, the answer is no.
My fellow Americans, tonight I am speaking to you because there is a growing humanitarian and security crisis at our southern border. Every day, Customs and Border Patrol agents encounter thousands of illegal immigrants trying to enter our country. All Americans are hurt by uncontrolled illegal migration. Our southern border is a pipeline for vast quantities of illegal drugs, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl. 90% 10% of which floods across from our southern border. More Americans will die from drugs this year than were killed in the entire Vietnam War. In the last 2 years, ICE officers made 266,000 arrests of aliens with criminal records, 100,000 assaults, 30,000 sex crimes, and 4,000 violent killings. Thousands of Americans have been brutally killed by those who illegally entered our country, and thousands more lives will be lost if we don't act right now. This is a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart, and a crisis of the soul. Children are used as human pawns by vicious coyotes and ruthless gangs. This is the cycle of human suffering that I am determined to end. My administration has presented Congress with a detailed proposal to secure the border and stop the criminal gangs, drug smugglers, and human traffickers to properly perform their mission and keep America safe. Cutting-edge technology for detecting drugs, weapons, illegal contraband, and many other things. An urgent request for humanitarian assistance and medical support. Law enforcement professionals have requested $5.7 billion for a physical barrier. This barrier is absolutely critical to border security. This is just common sense. The cost of illegal drugs exceeds $500 billion a year. Democrats in Congress have refused to acknowledge the crisis, and they have refused to provide our brave border agents with the tools they desperately need to protect our families and our nation. The only solution is for Democrats to pass a spending bill that defends our borders and reopens the government. I have invited congressional leadership to the White House tomorrow to get this done. We can rise above partisan politics in order to support national security. Wealthy politicians build walls, fences, and gates around their homes because they love the people on the inside. The day after Christmas, a young police officer in California was savagely murdered in cold blood by an illegal alien. The life of an American hero was stolen by someone who had no right to be in our country. An Air Force veteran was raped, murdered, and beaten to death with a hammer by an illegal alien with a long criminal history. In Georgia, an illegal alien was recently charged with murder for killing, beheading, and dismembering his neighbor. In Maryland, MS-13 gang members who arrived in the United States were arrested and charged last year after viciously stabbing and beating a 16-year-old girl. I've held the hands of the weeping mothers and embraced the grief-stricken fathers. How much more American blood must we shed before Congress does its job? Imagine if it was your child, your husband, or your wife whose life was so cruelly shattered and totally broken. To every citizen, call Congress and tell them to finally, after all of these decades, secure our border. This is a choice between right and wrong, justice and injustice. This is about whether we fulfill our sacred duty to the American citizens we serve. When I took the oath of office, I swore to protect our country, and that is what I will always do. So help me God. Thank you, and good night.
For an appearance here in the briefing room, our very great President Donald J. Trump.
Hello, everybody. It's a beautiful place. I haven't seen it. Beautiful place. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. I just want to start off by congratulating Nancy Pelosi on being elected Speaker of the House. It's a very, very great achievement. And hopefully we're going to work together, and we're going to get lots of things done, like infrastructure and so much more. I know they want to do that very badly, so do I. So hopefully we're going to have a lot of things that we can get done together, and I think it's actually going to work out. I think it'll be a little bit different than a lot of people are thinking. So I congratulate Nancy. Tremendous, tremendous achievement. And I just wanted to explain to folks that I'm with on the dais, people I've known very well over the last 2 years, people that have been extremely supportive of what we're doing on the border. They're tough, they're smart, they think, they love our country, they have every quality, and I'll tell you what, I really know them well, and they have the kind of qualities that we need in our country, and they've done a fantastic job at the border. It's ICE and it's Border Patrol, and a man who's really become a friend in a sense, Brandon, I will say this, Brandon Judd has been a stalwart in terms of justice for people, in terms of fairness, and in terms of the toughness you need. You have some pretty tough situations. It doesn't get much tougher. So I just want to thank Brandon and all of the folks. I'm going to have them introduce themselves right now and also say a few words about the wall, about, you can call it a barrier, you can call it whatever you want, but essentially we need protection in our country. We're going to make it good. The people of our country want it. I have never had so much support as I have in the last week over my stance for border security, for border control, and for, frankly, the wall or the barrier. I have never had anything like it in terms of calls coming in terms of people writing in and tweeting and doing whatever they have to do. I've never had this much support, and we've done some things that, as you know, have been very popular. So I'm going to ask Brandon Judd to just step forward and say a few words. This group has apprehended last year 17,000 criminals trying to get across the border. 17,000. And that's one category. There are plenty of others. The other thing that has been so incredible is what they've done in terms of drugs and stopping drugs. And with that, and with everything else, plenty, unfortunately, come through our southern border. But I'm going to ask Brandon to come up, say a few words, and maybe introduce our friends and some very brave people. Brandon, please. Thank you.
Thank you, President. We really appreciate all the support that you've given the Border Patrol. We appreciate the support that you've given ICE. My name is Brandon Judd. I'm the president of the National Border Patrol Council. I've been a Border Patrol agent for 21 years. I can personally tell you from the work that I have done on the southwest border that physical barriers, that walls actually work. You hear a lot of talk from the expert that there are experts that say that walls don't work. I promise you that if you interview Border Patrol agents, they will tell you that walls work. I worked in Naco, Arizona for 10 years. We didn't have physical barriers in Naco, and illegal immigration and drug smuggling was absolutely out of control. We built those walls, those physical barriers, and illegal immigration dropped exponentially. Anywhere that you look where we have built walls, they have worked. They have been an absolute necessity for Border Patrol agents in securing the border. We need those physical barriers, and we appreciate President Trump and all of his efforts in getting us those physical barriers. There's also a lot of talk on this shutdown that federal employees do not agree with the shutdown. I will tell you that's not true. And with that, I'd like to introduce Art Del Cueto. He is the Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council. He's also a longtime Border Patrol agent out of the Tucson sector, and he'd like to say a few words about the shutdown.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Once again, my name is Art Del Cueto. I am a Vice President with the National Border Patrol Council. And I want everybody to take the time to understand what's going on. We are all affected by this shutdown. We have skin in the game. However, it comes down to border security. And we are extremely grateful to President Trump, and we fully support what he is doing to take care of our nation's borders, to take care of the future of this United States. It has nothing to do with political parties. You all got to ask yourself this question. If I come to your home, do you want me to knock on the front door, or do you want me to climb through that window? We fully support the president and all his efforts to secure our nation's borders.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hector Garza. I'm the Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council. I am also a Border Patrol agent of the Texas border. I just want to talk about some of those criminals that Border Patrol agents apprehend on a daily basis. We're talking about murderers, rapists, people that commit very serious crimes in this country. ICE has been doing an amazing job in deporting a lot of these people back to their countries. Unfortunately, once we deport these people will not stay in their country. These criminal aliens that have been released from jail, that have been deported, will come right back into the United States. However, if we had a physical barrier, if we had a wall, we would be able to stop that. Again, we want to thank President Trump for advocating for Border Patrol agents. And again, we ask our congressmen to fund border security and fund the border wall. Thank you.
So this meeting was set up a long time ago. It just came at a very opportune time, and I thought we were all sitting in the Oval Office working on different plans and different ways of stopping the problems that we have in our country. And other countries have problems, but nobody like ours. So the economy makes it even more so. The economy is bringing people in because we're doing so well with the economy. Unemployment is now 3.7%. And that's among the lowest we've ever had, lowest in 50 years. And among certain groups, it's the lowest historically. So I just appreciate them being here. I said, let's go out, see the press. You can tell them about the importance of the wall. They basically said, and I think I can take the word basically out, without a wall, you cannot have border security. Without a very strong form of barrier, call it what you will, but without a wall, you cannot have border security. It won't work. You see what's just been put out on social media where thousands of people are rushing the border. Having a drone fly overhead, and I think nobody knows much more about technology, this type of technology certainly, than I do. Having drones and various other forms of sensors, they're all fine, but they're not going to stop the problems that this country has. We've never had more people wanting to come to the United States, and that has to do with the economy and has to do with a lot of other things. We're doing great as a country, but the better we do, the more people want to come in. So, folks, I just want to thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you, and I'm glad you came. I'm glad we came out here. And the first time I've ever done this is the first time I've done it. I've done it for you, and I'm very proud of that because you have done a fantastic job. And I want to thank you all. Chris, thank you very much. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Are you not taking any questions at all?
So the wall will get built, but we may not have an agreement today. We probably won't. But we have an agreement on other things that are really good. Nancy, would you like to say something?
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to meet with you so that we can work together in a bipartisan way to meet the needs of the American people. I think the American people recognize that we must keep government open, that a shutdown is not worth anything, and that you should not have a Trump shutdown. You have the White House, the Trump shutdown. You have the White House. You have the Senate. You have the House of Representatives. You have the votes. You should pass it right now.
No, we don't have the votes, Nancy, because in the Senate we need 60 votes.
No, but in the House,
and we don't have.
You could bring it up right now.
Yeah, but today. I can't. Excuse me. But I can't get it passed in the House if it's not going to pass in the Senate. I don't want to waste time.
Well, the fact is, you can get it started that way.
The House we can get passed very easily,
okay,
and we do.
But
the problem is the Senate, because we need 10 Democrats to vote, and they won't vote.
That's not the point, Mr. President. The point is that there are equities to be weighed, and we're here to have a conversation in a prayerful way. So I don't think we should have a debate in front of the press on this. But the fact is, the House Republicans could bring up this bill, if they had the votes, immediately and set the tone for what you want.
If we thought we were going to get it passed in the Senate, Nancy, we would do it immediately. We'd get it passed very easily in the House.
No, that's
we would get it, Nancy, I'd have it passed in 2 seconds. It doesn't matter, though, because we can't get it passed in the Senate because we need 10 Democrat votes.
Well,
that's the problem.
Again, let us have our conversation, then we can meet with the press again. But the fact is that legislating, which is what we do, you begin, you make your point, you state your case. That's what the House Republicans could do if they had the votes. But there are no votes in the House, a majority of votes, for a wall. no matter where you start.
Exactly right. You don't have
If I needed the votes for the wall in the House, I would have them in one session.
Well,
would be
go
done.
Go do it.
It doesn't help because we need 10 Democrats in
No,
the
don't
Senate.
put it on the Senate. Put it on the negotiation.
Okay, let me ask you this, and we're doing this in a very friendly manner. It doesn't help for me to take a vote in the House where I will win easily with the Republicans.
You will not win.
It doesn't help to take that vote because I'm not going to get the vote
Don't put
of
it
the
on
Senate. I need 10 senators. That's
Mr.
the problem.
President, you have the White House, you have the Senate.
I have the
you
White House. The White House is done, and the House would give me the vote if I wanted it, but I can't because
Well,
I
you
need,
can't-
Nancy, I need 10 votes from Chuck.
Now,
All right, let me
Mr.
say
President,
something here.
Let me just say one thing. The fact is, you do not have the votes in the House.
Nancy, I do. And we need
Well,
border
let's take the
security.
vote, we'll
Nancy,
find out.
Nancy, we need border security. It's very simple.
Of course we do.
We need border security.
do.
People are pouring into our country, including terrorists. We have terrorists. We caught 10 terrorists over the last very short period of time. 10. These are very serious people. Our border agents, all of our law enforcement has been incredible what they've done. But we caught 10 terrorists. These are people that were looking to do harm. We need the wall. We need, more important than anything, we need border security, of which the wall is just a piece. But it's important. Chuck, did you want to say something?
Yeah, here's what I want to say. We have a lot of disagreements here. The Washington Post today gave you a whole lot of Pinocchios because they say you constantly misstate how much the wall is built, how much of the wall is built, and how much is there. But that's not the point here. We have a disagreement about the wall, whether it's effective or whatever. Not on border security, but on the wall. We do not want to shut down the government. You have called 20 times to shut down the government. You say, I want to shut down the government. We don't. We want to come to an agreement. If we can't come to an agreement, we have solutions that will pass the House and Senate right now and will not shut down the government, and that's what we're urging you to do. Not threaten to shut down the government, because let me just finish, because you can't get your way.
The last time you shut it down, you got killed.
Let me say something, Mr. President. You just say my way or we'll shut down the government. We have a proposal that Democrats and Republicans will support to do a CR that will not shut down the government. We urge you to take it.
And if it's not good border security, I won't take it.
It is very good border security.
And if it's not good border security, I won't take it.
It's what the
Because when you look at these numbers of the effectiveness of our border security, and when you look at the job that we're doing with our military...
You just said it is effective.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, you just said it's effective.
Without a wall, these are only areas where you have the walls.
We want to do
where
this.
you have walls, Chuck, it's effective. Where you don't have walls, it is not effective.
Yeah.
Let's call a halt to this. We've come in here as the first branch of government, Article 1, the legislative branch. We're coming in good faith to negotiate with you about how we can keep the government
open.
We're going to keep it open if we have border security. If we don't have border security, Chuck, we're not going to keep it open.
I'm with you. We are going to have border security.
And it's the same border. You're bragging about what has been done.
By us.
We want to do the same thing we did last year, this year. That's our proposal. If it's good then, it's good now, and it won't shut down the government.
Chuck, we can build a much bigger section with more money.
Let's debate in private. Okay? Yeah, let's debate in private.
That is devoid, frankly, of fact, and we can...
We need border security. I think we all agree that we need border security.
Yes,
is that
we
right?
do.
Good.
We do.
See? We get along. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. President, you say border security and the wall. Can you have border security without the wall?
You need the wall. The wall is a part of border security.
What it means to have border security.
Yeah, yes. We need border security. The wall is a part of border security. You can't have very good border security without the wall.
That's simply not true.
Just
that is a political promise. Border security is a way to effectively honor our responsibility.
And the experts say you can do border security without a wall, which is wasteful and doesn't solve the problem.
It totally solves the problem.
But I don't want to take this.
And it's very important.
This has spiraled downward when we came at a place to say, how do we meet the needs of American people who have needs? The economy has, people are losing their jobs, the market's in a mood. Our members are already...
Well, we have the lowest unemployment that we've had in 50 years.
60 people of the Republican Party are losing their offices now because of the transition. People are not... The morale
and we've gained in the Senate. Nancy, we've gained in the Senate. Excuse me, did we win the Senate? We won the Senate.
When the president brags that he won North Dakota and Indiana, he's in real trouble.
When I
did.
Let me say this.
We did win North Dakota
and Indiana. This is the most unfortunate thing. We came in here in good faith. And we're entering into of this kind of a discussion in the public view.
But it's not bad, Nancy.
No,
it's called transparency.
I know, it's not transparency when we're not stipulating to a set of facts and when we want to have a debate with you about saying we confront some of those facts without...
You know what? We need border security. That's what we're going to be talking about, border security. If we don't have border security, we'll shut down the government. This country needs border security. The wall is a part of border security. Let's have a talk. We're going to get the wall built, and we've done a lot of wall already.
How big a part of border security is the wall?
It's a big section. It's a big part of it.
Is it everything that you need?
It's a big part of it. We need to have effective border security. We need a wall in certain parts. No, not in all parts, but in certain parts of a 2,000-mile border, we need a wall.
How much money?
We are doing it much under budget. We're actually way under budget on the areas that we've renovated and areas that we've built. I would say if we got $5 billion, we could do a tremendous chunk of wall.
Mr. President, are you willing to accept less, though, and are your guests...
Well, we're going to see. We're going to see. Look, we have to have the wall. This isn't a question. This is a national emergency. Drugs are pouring into our country. People with tremendous medical difficulty and medical problems are pouring in, and in many cases, it's contagious. They're pouring into our country. We have to have border security. We have to have a wall as part of border security. And I don't think we really disagree so much. I also know that, Nancy's in a situation where it's not easy for her to talk right now, and I understand that, and I fully understand that. We're going to have a good discussion, and we're going to see what happens. But we have to have border security.
Mr. President, please don't characterize the strength that I bring to this meeting as the leader of the House Democrats who just won a big victory.
Elections have consequences, Mr. President.
Let me just say.
That's right, and that's why the country's doing so well.
What the President is representing in terms of his cards over there are not factual. We have to have an evidence-based conversation about what does work, what money has been spent, and how effective it is. This isn't about, this is about the security of our country, to take an oath to protect and defend. And we don't want to have that mischaracterized by anyone. And
I agree with that. No, I agree with that.
We are so let us have a conversation where we don't have to contradict in public the statistics that you put forth, but instead can have a conversation about what will really work and what the American people deserve from us at this uncertain time in their lives.
The one thing I think we can agree on is we shouldn't shut down the government over a dispute. And you want to shut it down. You keep talking about it.
The last time, Chuck, you shut it down.
No.
And then you opened it up very quickly. And
20 times.
I don't want to do what you did.
20 times you have called for, I will shut down the government if I don't get my wool. None of us have said.
You want to know something?
You've said it.
Okay, you want to put that on my...
You've said it.
I'll take it.
Okay, good.
You know what I'll say? Yes. If we don't get what we want, one way or the other, whether it's through you, through a military, through anything you want to call, I will shut down the government.
Okay,
absolutely.
fair enough.
And I am proud, and I'll tell you what, I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck, because the people of this country don't want criminals and people that have lots of problems and drugs pouring into our country. So I will take the mantle. I will be the one to shut it down. I'm not going to blame you for it. The last time you shut it down, it didn't work. I will take the mantle of shutting down. And I'm going to shut it down for border security.
But we believe you shouldn't shut it down.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank
you. President Trump, you will not get your wall.
A wall is an immorality, not who we are as a nation.
Have you considered using emergency powers to grant yourself authorities to build this wall without congressional approval?
Yes, I have. And I can do it if I want.
And so he doesn't need the Congress to appropriate the funds for the wall. He can just do it.
So you don't need congressional approval to build the wall?
No, we can use them. Absolutely. We can call a national emergency because of the security of our country. Absolutely.